It's that time again. House Republicans have released a bill intended to avoid a government shutdown on October 1st. The deal being tabled is very much viewed as an opening gambit and includes an 8% temporary spending cut for domestic agencies. Now, it isn't likely to be accepted by the Democratic-led Senate, especially as it includes border provisions, which are likely to make the plan dead on arrival. A vote on the bill is planned for this week. Let's get the latest with Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman. Rick, here we are again.
Here we are again, and here we're going to stay, I think, for some period of time. So everything you just described is basically just part of the process. This is no kind of breakthrough. This doesn't mean that there's any kind of deal in sight to keep the government open. It's just one of the hoops that Republicans need to jump through. So what needs to happen is that first we have to see if they can actually pass this in the House, and it's not even clear they can get the Republican votes to pass this thing. And then it's going to go to the Senate. It's going to die because of those couple of reasons you mentioned. The Democrats control the Senate, and they're not going to sign off on 8% cuts and all in spending. So then if it gets that far, then we'll get to the next level and the next level after that. But I have not seen any solid political analysis that says there's an opening for a deal here that keeps the government shut down. It just does seem like we are going to have a government shutdown. And honestly, I don't think ordinary people need to worry about that. We've been through this before. We know the drill. This is not nearly as dire as the problem we had, the man-made problem, I should say, earlier this year when they were talking about defaulting on debt, Treasury debt, because they couldn't raise the borrowing limit. So this is just going to be a tedious and infuriating process that's going to go on for weeks and perhaps a couple of months, I think, before we ever get back to something that looks like normal. So everybody find something else to pay attention to.
I mean, with that in mind, though, obviously we know that the blame game will always be on the table, especially when we look ahead to an election year here. How does this position these candidates if they're not able to sort of find an agreement here, and we do have a prolonged, perhaps, shutdown?
I mean, the broader things to keep in mind here are, first of all, Republicans do control the House of Representatives, but only by 4 seats. And they've got this hard right faction. That's the group that's pushing for the fairly severe spending cuts. They want strict new immigration measures, fully knowing that the House may not be able to vote all that stuff in, and that the Senate for sure is going to kill it. So the real question here is how much power this group of hard right Republicans in the House really holds over Speaker Kevin McCarthy. We're back to questions about whether he can keep his job through all this and how far they're willing to go to just obstruct the normal functioning of the country. There are some Republicans who believe, and I think believe correctly, that it's just a losing move to shut down the government. I mean, most Americans don't want this to happen. Even if they agree with some of the Republican causes, they don't think this is the right way to do it. And we know from past shutdowns, I mean, this mainly is a Republican tactic. Democrats don't really shut down the government. They have other tactics. But this has not worked for Republicans. I mean, polls have shown they do. People generally do blame Republicans for shutdowns, and they are the ones essentially causing a shutdown this time. So we are back to this situation we've been at before when it's a relatively small minority of the House that is saying we want to stop the functioning of the government in order to make a point. And Americans in general are kind of like, could you just leave the government functioning and make your point some other way?
Indeed, October 1st will be ticking up quickly, and with not that many days in session left, we'll have to see what happens.
Only 8 days, honestly. 8 working days in Congress.
See, and there you go. To try and cover all those issues. Good grief. Our very own Rick Newman, thank you as always.
See ya.